Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Superb Diamond Range. Today's date is the 11th of November 2013, and we're going to be talking about mind control and mass hypnosis.
Thank you very much, Superb. Should be a great show today, and I hope you're well, by the way. I've been keeping well over here. So, today we're going to talk about mind control and hypnosis, how it's affected the human race, and from what we perceive, also how it's affected us too. So, television is probably the source of media, what everyone has, most people around the world. So, would you agree, Superb, that that would be the main source of hypnosis, mind control? For
Definitely, yeah, I mean, most people spend quite a large part of their life in front of the box, and as we know, a lot of it is just junk that's on there, and people religiously will watch the television, and it's something that people do every day to sort of like with their family or after they finish work, and
that's
they
true.
always tune into the usual programs, which are not very good for them, really.
Well said. And would you say over the years, also prior to television, people around the world had their own, also created their own entertainment, i.e., maybe singing, playing with each other, or just talking to the neighbours, and just doing anything, communicating with their own family. But now it's like this box is in a corner, and you're all hypnotised sitting there around it. If only people can see themselves,
So
being hypnotised by this box in the corner, taking away your energy.
completely. I mean, I only have to talk from personal experience. Like when I go around to visit family, instead of sort of turning the TV off, they normally turn it on, and it's always there in the background, whether they're eating dinner or just relaxing. And there's certain programs at certain times where they get really into it and they start to believe that they know the characters personally or the presenters, and they get really like emotionally attached to them and involved. And as we know, it's just all an act. It's
Yeah.
just you know
I mean, also, I would say it's quite damn annoying too, because just imagine if you're at work and you're talking to your manager, say, for example, work isn't really a good thing, but in the system. But just imagine you're at work and the TV's playing on in the background loud. Both of you would not like it, would you? But
not at
yet,
all.
but yet, it seems to be acceptable to be at home and talk to someone with the TV on. And wouldn't you prefer to hear what your friend is saying than something on the background? Maybe people have the TV on, hoping they're going to catch something, what they're going to miss. Something
Exactly.
something that is really important. But I don't think so.
Because another thing that I noticed that definitely in the Western world is that it's a big thing as well to have the the latest flat plasma screen, and they put it up against the wall and it kind of dominates the living room. And I noticed in my travels to South America that most of the TVs were in the family's bedroom, because the living room was like for entertaining guests or a place to just go and relax and chill. Whereas in this part of the world, people have TVs now in the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the living room. They can't escape it.
It's shocking. It's like it's chasing them around everywhere they go, because you can walk in the high street and you got the high street shops are on. Uh, Even if you go to the corner shop now, they'll have a TV next to their the little corner shops where it could be a one man band. So he's got his TV next to his security cameras. So the man is watching the football EastEnders or Arsenal, killing two birds with one stone, thinking, oh, what a life. I've got my cable in my shop. but not realizing all his energy or her energy is being taken.
That's right. And
So,
obviously another thing that's very big on the TV that we talked about in episode 2 was sport. Everybody always watches the big football match, and people will go to the pub. So even a place like a pub, which should be a social place, has become unsocial thanks
yeah,
to the big TV they put in the middle.
so the TV has drawn, I would say, up there as the main source of hypnosis to draw people in to meet.
Definitely.
Like you said, so with TV, you've got everything. You've got shows about religion, shows about sport, shows just general soap operas, which show basically, for example, EastEnders or Coronation Street would be the average family in the UK just going to a pub or having arguments, doing nothing really, and people sit down and watch this for
And,
entertainment.
and it's very, very depressing. Like these soaps that they show on TV, like EastEnders, Coronation Street, they're very, very depressing and soul zapping. And I couldn't even watch 30 seconds of it now without turning it off. I mean, I rarely watch TV. The only time that I ever see a TV is usually when I visit my family, but in my own home, I would never ever watch it, never have time for it.
I like the sound of that, superb. I like the sound of that. I'm also the same, thanks to you. And it's been 2 years now for myself, but much longer for you.
Yeah,
Proud to say, and I do feel much better for not having a TV.
definitely. Um,
Spirit.
Another place that you like to go, Diamond, and me as well, is obviously going to the cinema at least once a week or every couple of weeks. And obviously, Hollywood is a big one on the mind control and putting messages in films. And
Oh yes, oh yes. Let's tap onto Hollywood because Hollywood has interfered with not only our lives but the children's lives. They put messages in cartoons now,
that's right.
and so those messages would have been in the cartoons while we were growing up. And as we know now, it's proven your subconscious mind takes in everything more than you think you're awake, but your subconscious mind picks up every subliminal message and
Definitely.
can also work everything out. And hence, that's why we're asleep because we're picking up these messages and we're acting upon them as well.
Because I know somebody that had a baby recently, and the baby's starting to grow, and they've already started getting them into like watching movies, like children's movies, cartoons on the TV, and the baby's fascinated by it. Instead of sort of showing the baby the outside world and maybe showing them animals and nature, but now they're just sort of like already sort of getting them to watch TV, and they're just sitting there, taking it in, getting hypnotized by
Yeah,
it. It's really, really bad.
yeah, it is sad to see. It is sad to see, but TV was designed for this, and they've got the human race has been cornered in practically every angle. So the TV, if they're not going to get you with the TV, they'll get you with something else. So
Definitely.
the media for starters, which is a lot of people think they're smart by listening to the media all the time. Current affairs. Keep up to date with the politics. Believe in them too, which is even worse.
That's right, because you got the 24-hour news that they keep rolling out, and a lot of it is just garbage, just made up. It's all owned by corporate interests, and obviously they're just putting out their message, trying to control you in their way and try and get you to get on board with their ideas. And the media is it's just it's not independent at all.
Not at,
It's
not at all superb. I mean, especially main media, i.e., BBC, CNN, um, all the big ones around in every country, all government-owned media.
because
The
we.
ones that,
Yep. Sorry.
sorry, the ones that would be closed down by government if they were to do something wrong or say something. You know, if they're going to be shut down, you know, they've obviously said something correct.
Because we've got a mutual friend out there that he really is obsessed by the official story and reading the newspapers, and he's not really interested in what we think about things. He just wants to go by what the author of this big newspaper that he reads said and what their opinion on things are. But he's got no time for us. He just wants to know about what's going on in the big newspapers, and
Yeah.
he always respects their opinion, but he'll never respect ours.
Considering we say the same things, but we say it before, but until someone from the media comes out with it a year or two yet later, you know, this individual will show it to us in an article, thinking we do not know, but this is what we've been saying all the time.
Totally. I mean,
So
he emails us a lot. He sort of, he'll forward a story to us, but if we forwarded him a story, he won't even take 1 minute to read it or even listen to our podcast. Which is really sad, because if he was doing something, we'd always support him.
of course, so for some people, again, the media has got a grip of them. You know, that is their source of the truth, and people, sorry to say, they trust the media.
Because
You know, because you know they wear suits, shirts, and ties, and they work in a nice big building.
I had a cousin of mine in Ireland that he had one of his friends he went to school with, like the friend's mother was an editor of a really really big newspaper in Ireland, and he couldn't believe that she would be part of a like conspiracy to like lie to the public basically through the newspaper. And he met the lady, like the friend's mother, and thought she was really nice, really kind, and she couldn't understand that she would not uh, she would do that, but obviously everything is compartmentalized. She's probably got somebody above her. You'll never really get the truth out from these journalists or these editors.
No, no, that's true. Well, the journalists who do a lot of the stuff abroad, they're given the news.
Exactly.
It's actually coming from them. So you know you have to really respect the independent sort of news reporters, and you know they're seen as troublemakers
Definitely.
because their stories will be a lot different to the official story, and the official story are the stories that make up history. So we sort of now know that most of history are lies, just to suit a certain group of people, maybe certain countries too.
Definitely.
So yeah, so for me, definitely superb. And listeners, media is definitely up there too as a big form of mind control and mass hypnosis.
Another one that has to be mentioned, obviously, is government. I mean, they really, really do fool the people all of the time, and they never ever do what they promise to do. So they're very good at lying, and a lot of them are obviously ex-lawyers and things like that. But one of the things I noticed is that when there comes an election, there's a lot of theatre, there's a lot of pantomime, and they try to convince the people that change is coming. But as we've realised that it can't come, because they're always going to be the same. They're always going to let you down, let all the people down.
That's true.
What do you think about it, Diamond?
Oh, I totally agree with that. Superb. Um, Government are the biggest lackeys on the planet too. You know they come and beg us for a vote, but in between, if someone needs help from them, they're nowhere to be seen. You know, they'd rather you go to them for help. Next thing, you're ushered away by a policeman or a security guard.
That's right.
So, you can't trust these people at all. Certainly can't love them. They have no love for the human race. You know, governments are there really to really rule people. So you're voting for someone to tell you how to live your life.
Exactly. Instead of doing it, living the life the way you want to live, you're sort
I
of giving
mean,
them permission, to tell you how to live, kind of thing.
there was a motto with governments before: is they are there to serve us, but it's the roles have been switched. It's they see us as serving them.
That's right. Yeah. Now they just work for corporations, just like police, and
Exactly.
you know,
So they cause a conflict in another country and say that we have to serve the country as if we belong to them.
and a lot
And
of lot of people get it wrong with government. They always think, well, the government, are they going to pay for it? But people don't realise we pay for the government, so we're the creditors of the government. Without us, they wouldn't exist, and they basically take our money, do spend it as they please, and it's not always in a good way. They use it for illegal wars. They like to do a lot of things like depopulation of the people, along with the monarchy and so on.
evil.
Just really, really evil. They definitely do not work for us. That is a fact. So
I
anybody
think.
voting is fooling themselves.
If you go back to the old word of what government means, it's control of the mind.
That's right.
So there we go. That's what it really means in Latin.
And obviously, we don't have real government anymore. They're all corporations, private companies. They're just sort of keeping the old traditions that they've always had to try and fool the people. But you'll never get anybody genuine now. And most of the politicians have never done a real job in their life. They've
No,
basically just gone to Eton or one of these other, um, type of colleges where they always end up in these kind of positions, and
that's
they
true.
they haven't got a clue about the working man or coming from poor backgrounds, broke backgrounds.
That's very true, superb. In today's world, government um, is prevalent in every single country. But in yesterday's world, prior to governments, there were kings and queens and spiritual leaders that ruled countries. But now I think, yeah, from what I've noticed, let someone else take the blame and let the kings and queens still rule, while the governments will be the ones who people will be blaming. So really, governments are there working for kings and queens and,
Definitely.
and spiritual.
Shadow government as well.
Yeah, they are shadow. They are shadow government without a doubt.
Because another one that I wanted to mention was, obviously when Obama was, trying to be elected in the first term, and obviously a lot of people were, you know, really thought this guy was going to be different. He spoke really well. He basically, he fooled a lot of people basically, and a lot of people, because he was obviously Nubian, they thought, well, this guy's going to be good and it's going to be really good for the country, and but in the end he turned out to be Bush 2.0 in the end. So he was just
Unfortunately,
like all the others.
unfortunately, but there's one thing we do know for sure: a government cannot change jack shit unless if he does, you know where he's going to end up: 6 feet under.
Exactly. Yeah, you only have to look at President Chavez and JFK,
Exactly.
Lincoln.
The one in Grenada, Morris Bishop. Once you find a president or a government who's there to actually help the people, there's only one way they're going. The elites do not want that. The Vatican doesn't want that. There actually was a good pope once, and he wanted to, turn things around. Within not too long of his reign, not even 40, 50 days, he was dead.
Gosh.
So there is a pattern, and they always say history repeats itself, and always remember that. That's so true.
Definitely.
So true. So, with government, the cycles, the way things happen.
That's why we're still living in a nightmare. Like even today,
Oh,
every day you wake up, you think you're going to be free, everything's going to be different, but it just seems that it's becoming more police state every day. Like
exactly, because man is putting his trust in fellow man when man should be looking to free himself. Man is looking for government to free him. While the same mentality has been ruling for so long, they expect to vote in an idea, which is government, to set them free when it's the same mentality again.
that's
So
right.
we need something totally different. And if you have something different, they will tell you from the media, "Oh, that's not good. It'll be a revolution." So the media again will tell the people, "Let's be scared. No revolution. Let's do it the democratic way and vote a new leader instead of you leading yourself, finding your own freedom. Governments are there just to keep us as slaves." End of.
Definitely, definitely,
So, yep. So governments a big source of mind control. Would you agree, Superb?
definitely,
And
definitely.
they're giving people a false hope. As a lot of religions and scriptures and great men have said, do not put your trust in man.
Definitely.
I wonder what kind of man they are talking about. I think government to
Because
start.
one of the things that I never understood was, if you've lived through many different, whether it be presidents, say in the US, or prime ministers in the UK, how you, after all these years of seeing what's been going on, how you could still want to take an interest in politics for starters, and B, to vote them in, because they've never really done anything good. If anything, it's just getting worse and worse. They take away all your freedoms, and they charge you for it as well. They make you pay out of your time, your sweat, your blood.
Exactly.
And obviously all the laws that they so-called laws that they bring out, is another way of controlling us.
So, unfortunately, a lot of people will be upset by this because most of humanity go out of their way to vote. A lot of people actually get killed for voting, and as you know yourself, in a lot of countries around the world, people have been killed and threatened to vote for the right one. If they do not, they'll have their hands chopped off, get shot, and there's a lot of bribes going on, like Obama with the phones. He was giving away for that one in America. Yeah, Obama phone. Hinton, and those a lot of people would have thought, "Oh, he's a nice man," not realizing that's part of the bribe.
Yeah, that's right.
But people fall for bribes, thinking, "Oh, he's a good man." How about the free phone when he's not, you know, maybe 5 years prior to when he's president, or
Yeah,
what, or while he is a president? Why doesn't he go there and give him something now? Why all the stuff before the election?
yeah, exactly. It's just like giving sweets, to little children,
Exactly.
to sort of trick them later. It's the exact same thing, and obviously it's they want to win you over, and that's what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to win you over, and deceive you at the same time, because they know that once they get to where they want to get to, they're only thinking about themselves. They're very selfish. People don't realize how selfish they are. These presidents and these elites, they give each other presents, and they really do feel like they're different to everyone else, instead of thinking that we're all one. But they honestly do believe in their job title, in their position. But as we know, it's all just a fairy tale. They
Well,
was fell for it basically.
they're there on the trail to keep us believing that we are not children of God, that we are not superb, We're not great. We cannot find the true treasures of our own life. That we need them. So that is really, you know, their purpose to keep us as their lackeys and slaves.
Definitely. Another one that I wanted to mention, Diamond, was obviously I've noticed it when I've been on my travels around the world that I think we've talked about it once as like a kind of computer program almost that you have an identity with the which part of the world you're born or which country, which flag, and that would be like I guess culture.
Oh,
Uh,
you're so right there, superb. Culture, very, very big. And most people are proud of a culture, but not realizing it's the culture as well that is part of the program that hypnotizes you and keeps you under mind control.
Definitely, because there is many like cultures that people can't drop or they can't leave behind. So you'll get people that will emigrate to other countries and they'll try and keep their culture, but their culture, um, you know, there's nothing wrong with maybe keeping some cultures. Maybe if you think what they're doing is good, but it's like it kind of dominates their life, and they can't drop their culture, so they actually can't drop the program. You know,
Exactly. Well said. Well said. I mean, like you said, it's another sensitive one because there are some nice parts of a culture, i.e., the cooking, the dishes, what they eat,
sometimes the
tradition.
way they dress, isn't it? It's nice.
Yeah, of course, but I can assure you that most of it is just people being sheep again. In our country, this is how we do things. And for example, if I can give you some examples, and a lot of people would be offended, but we do not mean to offend anyone on this show, just to awaken people and enlighten people. But for some places I go to, they would eat rice every day, every single day of the year. And one lady said to me, Filipinos cannot live without rice. I said to her, like, if you can afford to buy other food, would you get something else to replace your rice? She said no. Filipinos cannot live without rice. And I said, well, if you didn't have rice, would you die? Would you have withdrawal symptoms like a drug addict or alcoholic? And she went quiet and, said no. So
Because
you can live without rice and you can live without culture. That's
because a lot of Indians as well, like I noticed they like to eat their own food, and not just Indians, many different countries,
yeah,
and I do understand that, but also when you're visiting other countries, you don't want to just eat your own culture's food. You want to try other cultures' food, and maybe if you live in another country, it's pretty difficult here in this island, but yeah, in other countries like they have really nice food and you'd want to try their food as well, or at least a few days of the week. But it seems like a lot of people they just want to eat what all they've known, and they don't want to try other foods. You know.
exactly. When people sort of go to a country and eat McDonald's or something, they might go to Thailand or somewhere really exotic where the food is really juicy and amazing, and they would say, "Oh, I'm just used to eating my mum's food," and you think, "How sad? How sad is that?" And my mum's the best cook, and of course, everyone's mum is the best cook because they've been growing up eating that food for most of their life, so
Yeah.
they're used to that poison or food. Sorry.
And the other one is the I guess this is kind of to do with culture, where you've got like the coffee shop culture of
Yeah,
Starbucks now and many other these
true.
big coffee places, and obviously you've got fast food joints like McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, and you've got people that wherever they travel, instead of, as you say, trying the local food, or they'll go straight into McDonald's and see if the burger tastes the same as
Exactly,
back in England.
exactly. And they may as well say they stepped into the same McDonald's in London, if
Exactly.
if they're in China or Hong Kong or Philippines. But
Because I know somebody that they went to China for work, and they didn't like the Chinese food at all. And basically, the whole trip they were there, they ate in McDonald's because that was the only place they could eat, and all they could find was fish burgers. That's all they were selling.
right, that's terrible.
Yeah,
That's terrible. But also, other things in culture aside from food, because the McDonald's culture would be the elite's culture. That's a trap as well. That's a serious trap. But aside from that, there are ways people talk to each other as well, which is quite good. In certain places, a lot of people have respect, and some people would even say that's part of their culture, and I would say that's just being kind and respectful.
exactly.
And so, a lot of people would turn out and say it's our culture, and it's really not really anyone's culture. It should be part of you to be respectful to everyone, no matter where you come from, how you look, what sex you are, what gender, what you prefer. Be respectful to everyone. But you find in general, people seem to be more respectful out of the West,
Definitely.
and maybe because, would you agree, Superb, that in the West people are more focused on money,
Definitely. Yeah.
and
Uh,
so they
and
forget the values of human life and love and caring and family values.
because that is another thing that is always on the people's mind, is obviously survival. And or well, for some people it's survival, for some people it can go to the next level where it's kind of greed. And
Of course,
they find a job and they'll do lots of overtime, and they'll sacrifice their life in the pursuit of money and riches. And as we know, we it doesn't lead to happiness. But for these people, while they're doing it, they think that that's what they have to do, and they believe that's their calling in life. And they kind of put money above God, above their
of
creator
course,
kind of thing.
yeah. Because sometimes you're right, Superb. I do think the same too. I think when I was working, when I have a day off, I really do appreciate it.
Definitely, it's very important to rest.
You think they do not call it a rest day for nothing, but a lot of people with mortgages, but even if they had no mortgages, even if they had 5 or 6 houses, would still go into work and do the overtime, and they think you know that is hard work, but they want their children to be the same, which is just to work like a donkey or work all the hours what God sends, which isn't healthy.
Not at all.
I think the real beauty of life is our time and living for now, the present. That's why they call the present, because it's right now. It's a gift.
That's right.
So
Because most people are like, um, in the system, everything kind of revolves around money, and it's either there's a shortage, or you need more to do certain things, and it becomes something that's always on your mind. So you could have trouble sleeping because you're worried about paying your bills, or you're in a rush to do something. So you've got a deadline, and you need to get the money in time for like your rent or your mortgage.
that's
And
true.
so many things can happen to you in the system. Things like you could lose your job, and then you got to worry about how you get the money to pay your bills and keep a roof over your head. And obviously, in America, we're well aware about the health system. That if you haven't got the money or an insurance that covers what you need, you can't you can't pay your bill, and that's really bad because health should be free, obviously, like many other rights that we should have,
Of
but
course,
they've sort of taken from us.
of course. Well, they've turned it around. They've made our life hell.
That's right.
They've made every sort of angle, everything what we do. So, and going back to culture as well, there were some of the sports as well. Like in certain countries, people will be proud of. They would say, "This is what we do here." Like in England, they love football and or soccer, as they say in America. And maybe in Ireland, they would prefer to play hurling. Sorry, I tried to say that with an Irish accent. Sorry, maybe they used to play hurling about maybe 50 years ago. But so yeah, in Ireland, they would like rugby or Gaelic football, I think it's called.
That's right. Yeah.
So that is, so you find people growing up playing certain sports, and maybe in India and the Indian subcontinent countries, they would be playing cricket, which was given to them by the English again. So, they, you would go to work, and a lot of Indians and Pakistanis and Sri Lankans would be very knowledgeable about cricket,
That's right.
talking about it all day, and
Thinking about it all day as well, sort of in their thoughts and.
yeah, and that's another thing what we spoke about in our second show, where we mentioned sport, how people are just take it to the next level, really personal, as if it is their life that depends on it.
That's
But
right.
being a spectator, they should just keep it like that. Just like when you're watching TV, you can't affect nothing by screaming at the TV, can you?
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
And
Another one that I was going to talk about was obviously school, because that is where a lot of things take off.
yeah,
Obviously they're sort of teaching you sort of how to think. They're sort of training you as well at the same time. It's kind of militaristic because you've got like the school whistle, you've got the break time, play time, which is like coffee break when you go to work one day.
that's very
Um,
true.
and obviously the teacher will only tell you how to do things one way. You can't question them or question their authority, and you get homework, so you bring the work home. So you can't escape it. So it's always on your mind, and you've got to remember to do the homework, and you get tested on it, things like that. So what do you reckon, Des, about the school inside?
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, because the school was the first time for young people to experience so-called authority, where the teachers are seen as authority figures. So when you go to school, you're losing your place. You're behind someone now. You're not their equal. Sort
That's
of that
right.
really does get my goat when people say you got to listen to authority. Who gave them authority over me or you?
Exactly.
They might want to call them authority, but they're not my authority. The only authority over us is our creator.
Because obviously, like, you start to get into the titles game as well. Because
That's right.
obviously you have to call them Mister, Mrs., and as you say, straight away the equalness is gone.
That's right. That's right. Well said, superb. The fictitious titles. So you go to school, you do well, and you get a good job. All of a sudden, you're not a human being anymore. You're a doctor. So a doctor is your initials now. Oh, so you're better than me now. So, and as someone who might be a road sweeper is just, his name is just, for example, Roger Scoot. So the road sweeper. So with no title in front, is he supposed to look up to the doctor? because he has DR as initials in front of his job title and name.
That's right, and I mean that's been going on since like the biblical times, whereby you had Joseph the carpenter. They sort of give you a title after your job, and
That's
then
right.
later on that sort of they replace that with the surname or the area you're from became your name, and obviously like a kind of slave name. Um, you know, so you got the titles, fictional titles. You got the fictional. Um, you know, some people would call it a family name or a surname, but that's sort of what causes a lot of problems in your life later on. You sort of start to realise that.
Yeah, you're right, superb. And and that's another trick. What has been played on the human race? Not seeing people as their equal, man, women, children. So that title has separated them. So as far as they're concerned, they're not a human being. They're just here to for work. They see this world as a place of work, a place of contracts, and as when most people die, if they're a doctor, they'll probably put doctor on the cemetery on the gravestone. Who the arse is the doctor going to heal when he's down 6 feet under?
Because one thing I was going to say in regards to titles is when you're in school, you're fighting for the title of maybe being the best student, so getting the best exam results, and then obviously when you go out into the world of work, you're fighting to get a position. So you're applying for a job, you're fighting other people to get that job and get promoted as well as the next thing. And like in sport, you got like boxers, for example, they're fighting for the title. So throughout your life, you're fighting for titles, which are fictional. You know,
That's true. That's true.
which is
Just great example. We've been taught to compete from day one.
that's right.
Competition against others instead of competing against yourself and getting the best out of yourself. They're getting you to compete against other people, which is totally wrong. And when you're at school, you cannot live your dreams because the only subjects you can do is other subjects what they are telling you to do.
That's
So
right. Yeah, you can't bring your own ideas in or your own. I want to learn about this. I mean, I remember when I was in school, we had to pick like which GCSEs we wanted to study, and I wanted to do history, but I was particularly interested in Irish history, and that was actually an option. But they actually nearer to the time, they dropped that curriculum, that part of history. So I ended up doing the world wars and all that
right,
sort of stuff, and so I kind of like what I really wanted to do and what they were trying to offer me, they just sort of took away, and there was no kind of like way to change it, and it just shows you that you can't really change school. School will always be the way it is, and they'll always make you think the way they want you to think, and
that's all
it's
it.
no good place for children.
It's just the place. It's just the first place to break you down.
Definitely.
I've heard a famous saying: "It's not the schooling system; it's the fooling system," which is
Um, talking about fooling, there's another one that is massive, and I noticed that it's become really big. I mean, it's always been big, but it's become bigger because government is so bad now that you know life in general is so bad that a lot of people now are turning to religion as a kind of way to deal with life, and as a way of living. Uh, what are your thoughts on it, Diamond?
yeah. Yeah, I like where you're coming from with that, superb. When it comes to religion, that is up there with culture as well, because wherever you're from in the world, you're guaranteed to belong to one religion. We're talking the major religions, either Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, and
Jewish.
that's the one. Yep, that's the
Yeah.
one I was thinking of. How could I forget that one? And there's a few other religions on the outskirts. Well, there's quite a lot on the outskirts which are not so popular, but people still follow, thinking that is the truth.
You've
And
obviously got like the different types of Christians, the different types of Muslims. So there's division within their own,
that's
uh,
right.
cabal.
And so, yeah, so these religions also, like the schooling system, like the fooling system, will tell you how to dress, tell you how to talk, um, tell you how to treat women. You know, when it comes to women and religion, women have had the worst deals in practically all of them, from Islam to Christianity to Judaism to Hinduism, Sikhism. Women have been treated like cattle, like shit.
And
No say, no say at all.
I'd also like to say on I don't want to offend anybody out there, but being a vegetarian and everything, I'm not a fan of like halal meat. The way that they kind of torture the animal before sort of killing it. I think that is wrong. That I think if an animal is to be put out of its misery, if you really have to do that, obviously the quicker the better. But to slash their throat and I just I can't understand it. I think it's ritualistic and
It is a ritual and it's barbaric, and it sort of goes back to people being beheaded as well.
that's right.
But when it comes to religion, I've spoken to so many people, and they would talk to me. It's against our religion to do this, to do that, and they. It was like, where did you get your religion from? Was it from a book, or did you get it from God directly? Did someone tell you? Because a lot of people say we believe this, as if they haven't got a mind of their own. It's a collective mind, so they're not allowed to sort of think for themselves, are they?
Not at all. Not at all.
We believe that, as if it's not from you then, so is we.
Because another thing that always kind of bothered me about religion would be like you're born into a religion. So in other words, you haven't got a choice. So it's like you've got your parents who probably they want the best for you, but their best for you in their opinion is their religion that they were probably born into or converted into, and it's just a shame that they don't let the children kind of choose which way they want to go, which path they want to go. But it
No,
seems
that
like it's forced on you.
because religion definitely goes with government.
Definitely.
They both go together. They're both as evil and corrupt as each other. Both serve no purpose for mankind. Both. If you look at the way the world has been shaped, most of the wars have been caused by religion and government.
I mean,
Uh,
if you look at the death of Princess Diana, I mean, there's a lot of different opinions on what happened to her, but many people believe that it was like the monarchy basically, got her killed, and
oh, for sure, that could practically be proven, but
definitely
they'll be let off the hook.
because
You know,
that one was a lot of people were saying that there was many reasons why they wanted to take Diana out, but one of the big ones was obviously her boyfriend at the time, Dodi Al Fayed, was a Muslim, and obviously the monarchy were Christians, and they didn't want a Muslim marrying into their family. So, which I think is really really terrible to murder somebody over a religion. It's just very very sad that you kill somebody for their beliefs and their religion.
well, it is sad. It is sad, but that's the thing. That's just goes to show how powerful the religions are, and it's the sheep or the people that make the religions. It's if everyone decided to sort of have nothing to do with it, nothing to do with government, nothing to do with money, the world will still be here. The world will still be functioning, but people panic too easy.
Definitely.
Oh, I go to hell if I do this. And would do you think people would? How can I put this now? Superb. Could someone sacrifice their religion to help someone? And you find most people would say no. Sorry to say, it sort of goes back to the story of the Good Samaritan.
That's
Like
right.
it's like say a woman, a Muslim woman, for example, say she. I saw this lady, and there was this man who was really, really ill in a tower in a block, and there was a can next to him, drink. Like I don't know what it was, but he might have had a heart attack or something. And I came across him, and the woman didn't want to help because she didn't want to touch the drink, and there was a dog as well next to the man, and
Wow.
she wanted no part, nothing to do with him. And so all I done was just call for the ambulance. I waited there, but people not willing to sort of sacrifice 5, 10 minutes or to do something what is right because their religion says so. I personally think their religion could take a run and jump.
Because I met somebody that was telling me about the Sikh religion, and they mentioned that if if a group of Sikhs were beating up on a non-Sikh, so it could be a, I don't know, a Muslim or a Christian,
Yeah,
the Sikh that's passing by, should not, by in their beliefs, just walk past or help the other Sikhs to beat up the other guy. The Sikh is supposed to help the non-Sikh, so basically the weaker person, the one that's on their own, which I thought was quite a good thing. It's good
yeah,
that instead of sort of ganging up or joining in with your religion. So it's kind of, as you say, it's the opposite to what most of them do by following it
it's true.
so strictly. I
Would
think
you?
you've got to do good things.
Yeah, because it's quite sad when people need a religion for them to be told to do something good. Because
Exactly.
one of the tricks of religion, are the good things where you know peace and love and sharing. But when you look at the bad things, the bad things are the things that separate the worlds. Because what does religion do? It separates everyone. I'm this, you're not that. You can't be part of us. So what you find with most religions, practically all of them, they will tell you that their religion is the best.
That's right.
So not realizing that that's another form of divide and rule.
Totally.
So all the countries, the land, the world was named, or sorry, man named the countries. So when man named the countries, and when you were born, you became part of that country. So to travel to another country, you needed identification.
That's right. Passports, driver's license.
And so there again, you're not a human being again or a child of God. You're a fictitious title.
And obviously the people believe in this. I mean, because not many people get it, but things like the fact that you have to pay for these types of ID is just proof that we're in a sort of slavery in the system. Because obviously, if we should be giving them, if they weren't something bad, but obviously you have to apply, so you have to beg for driver license, you have to pass a test. Um,
To
a
travel.
lot of people listening will probably say that, yeah, that's a good thing, but if you look at how the tests are done and the criteria and the fact that they're sort of money making system, where basically you could be a very good driver or traveler or whatever, but they just to make more money out of you, they'll fail you so that you can, you know, and then obviously when you get the license, when you pass, you think that you're, somebody important that you want to celebrate, but really you're just celebrating your slavery, the fact that you had to get a driver's license to drive on the road.
That's true. That's very true. Well said, superb.
And I mean, the big one probably for me and you, Diamond, is obviously the passport. The fact that we like to travel. Um, we don't live in a country as big as the US or as big as Canada or Australia, where probably there's many places you could visit. So for us, traveling outside of this island is always something we want to do. And apart from maybe going across the island, where you could probably get away with not using a passport, but or maybe if you want to go to Scotland or Wales, but anywhere else we're forced to use this thing called passport, and it is just terrible.
Absolutely sucks. And it's an insult to our creator. We were created to be free, to explore, travel the land, and we've been sucked into all contracts, languages created by man to deceive us, and we've been tricked into slavery. We used to think that slavery was bad when we used to, see the people in Africa being taken to America, thinking, well, glad that's over, but still going on every day, but in a different form. The chains now are in our minds. The chains now we can't see.
And obviously, like whenever you show ID, I mean, recently I went into a supermarket and I was just, I bought a few bottles of beer and wine, and they have this thing called Challenge 25. So like I'd been going into that supermarket many times, and I'd always been more or less served by the same lady, and all of a sudden she started to sort of ask me, if I was old enough, to buy this, and if I was. It wasn't a case of being 18. It was more a case of like, are you over 25? And they try to say it's like a compliment, but the problem is then they start hassling you for ID, and obviously at the moment I don't carry any ID with me, so basically I had to just try to convince her that I was over 25, or but it is really ridiculous that we've stooped so low that we cannot vouch for ourselves, that we have to use a silly piece of paper with a picture that is not us.
It's quite insulting now, quite insulting, and unfortunately, that is most people's reality. It's not our reality, but it's most people's reality, and that's what most people are happy to live in. These fictitious titles, comes with ID that represents you. If you look at ID, and first two letters of ID, sort of looks like idiot, doesn't it? You
That's
can have
right.
that IDIOT. I wonder if ID really stands for that. And they say idiot. Is that you?
Because I mean the ID is like equivalent of a dog tag, for a dog. And obviously in the future, we all heard about they're planning to chip humans or man, and we're very anti that, and we'd rather be locked up or fight over that, than let that be happen to us.
For sure, superb, for sure.
But no doubt that is what they are planning. Is like they want to take it to the next level where the ID is not a piece of paper or something external, but it's something that they put inside us,
Yeah.
which has fundamental problems with freedom, as we know.
Well, unfortunately, people have been tagged already. Many places, like people that go to prison, persistent offenders. I've even heard newborn babies have been tagged also.
Wow.
So, our show on mind control and mass hypnosis, um, we've just given, a bit of an outline of what's going on, what we think the main forms of mind control are. And please do not hesitate to drop us any suggestions of, what other forms of mass hypnosis, because, there are many out there. But, I do believe that what we covered are the main forms of mass hypnosis.
Definitely. And I mean, I think the most important thing that, for our listeners to do and ourselves would be to just take a look at your life and see what, if any of these things that we've covered, how they affect your life, and see if you can step back and, maybe make adjustments so that you're not as mind controlled as, or under hypnosis as you currently are. Because, there's certain things you can do, like things like giving up TV, maybe not reading those newspapers on the train or in the shop. Obviously not getting involved in politics, because
Yep.
as we know, nothing's going to change. So why are you wasting your time?
I would even recommend as well for people to stop eating meat as well.
Definitely.
So, that would take a lot of people that follow religion wouldn't like that because, they're used to being told they can't eat this only, but go all the way. Have you ever heard of a vegetarian that's a Muslim or a vegetarian that's a Christian? There's quite a few, I imagine, but you do not really hear of them.
That's right.
They just want to sort of broadcast the ones that are just mind control, like, we do this. That's one thing I do not like is when people say, we do this, we do that, as if you do that, but I don't.
Yeah. And obviously another one, just going back to the first one we talked about TV, where you got the advertisements. So the advertisements are selling you something, and they're trying to trick you into buying their product when you don't really need it. And a good resource on that must recommend is a book called Propaganda by Edward Bernays. Very, very good book that talks all about most of the things we talked about, in particular like mind control and mass hypnosis through propaganda.
Excellent. Well, I will read that book myself. Superb. Well, thank you for the recommendation there.
Definitely, no problem. So yeah, I think that was very good for now. That was a very interesting topic. What do you reckon, Diamond?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Superb. And like I said, we're not here to offend anyone or put anyone down. We're all about learning and moving forward. And I
Definitely.
really, I really have enjoyed it today. Thank you so much, Superb. It's been great talking to you again.
Yep, same to you, Diamond. Yeah, I'll just quickly give some contact details for us and ways that you can check us out. Obviously, our email address is superbdiamondrange@gmail.com. We have a Twitter page, which is superbdiamondra or superbdiamondra. And obviously, we're on iTunes if anybody wants to subscribe to our podcast. And obviously, YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, thank you everyone for listening, and hope you enjoy our shows. And again, if you have any topics or anything you want us to bring up, please do contact us and let us know.
Thank you very much. And I wish you all a great week. Stay safe, stay positive, stay blessed.
Yep, same here. Take care, everyone.